You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast, where we're going to be talking about the IPL losers in terms of the retentions. And we'll have a winners segment if you're listening on audio, and a winners video if you're on YouTube. But before we start, just a reminder, like and subscribe to the Cricket Podcast on whatever platform you are on. We're on Twitter and Instagram at the Cricket Pod, and Patreon in the show notes. Go and click this now. Patreon.com/the Cricket Pod. We're on 29 Patreons. I haven't got the list in front of me. We'll do some shout outs to new Patreon soon. I haven't got it in front of me, but we want to get to 30. We need one more. There are 6 days left in January. I think we can do it. Winners and losers. What we're going to do, I have in my own time decided on the 5 IPL retention winners and the 5 IPL retention losers. Max, who are we going to start with?
We're starting with the losers. Do you want to start with the name of a team? Are we going
but
bottom, the worst losers first?
We can do worst losers. Yeah, then it kind of works, doesn't it? If you're listening on audio, we'll build up to the top.
Build up to the best winners.
It's a little bit annoying for my notes because I've written it in a different way, but it's fine. So
shouldn't have given me the option.
The worst loser at the IPL, according to Jack Hope on the Cricket Podcast, it's we all know who it is. Sunrisers Hyderabad. They retained Kane Williamson, Abdul Samad, Malik, whose name I've forgotten. Umran Malik. That's it. Thank you, Max. 22 crore spent, which is 2.2 million pounds. An average of 7.3 crore per player, leaving them with a pot of 68 million. Boys, do you think I'm correct in saying that they are the biggest loser at the IPL? I mean, they are the biggest loser at the IPL,
yeah.
But in this particular context as well, Max.
Well, yeah, they had one job: keep Rashid Khan. They failed. That's it, isn't it? One job, lads.
That's all they needed to do.
Literally, the only thing they needed to do.
Could have been competitive.
Yeah, they could have spent their whole budget on him. They should have just been like, have as much money as you want. You want to be captain as well? Go for it.
Anything good about this? Umran Malik, Ross.
I think if you think around what is in short supply in the domestic market in India, actually out and out pace bowlers were on that list, right? Malik fulfills one of those bits. He's young. He demonstrated that he is pretty decent as well. He got a bit of experience last time out. And then Samad, obviously a bit of a hitter. He does bowl a tiny bit. I'm not sure you're going to pick him for his bowling, but again, was an exciting player. They've kind of gone with youth plus Kane Williamson, which is a interesting approach.
Kane Williamson was awful at the IPL last year as well. I can't believe they retained him.
The captaincy stuff just baffles me. Like we've had Dan Weston on the show before.
Him. You know,
I like Dan Weston.
He's a millionaire.
And I like Kane Williamson. Yeah, I know. Yeah. But in terms of like the captain bit, like, is it really making that much of an impact? Because I know that they've also brought in like Brian Lara in the scene, behind the scenes. I think Vikram Solanki's is he going to Sunrise or going to Ahmedabad?
He's Ahmedabad director.
Ahmedabad. Yeah. So, but yeah, there's all kinds of
bad news for them.
So yeah, Jack, I don't think you're getting any.
Okay, so they're the biggest losers.
I mean, what I would say is that it is nice that they've kept Samad and Malik, isn't it? Because, like you say, Ross, they're the 2 exciting young talents from that side. So it's not the actual possible worst situation, but yeah, I mean,
hopefully they don't go and pick like Malik.
They've got to have a bloody good auction,
and now they don't.
Yeah. And also their retentions, their auction strategy has been so bad that last time they shut the laptop down before it was even over.
Second biggest losers, and again they're one of the historical great losers in the IPL. Punjab Kings, formerly known as Kings 11 Punjab. They've retained Mayank Agarwal and Arshdeep Singh for 18 crore, 9 crore per player. That averages out at leaving them 72 crore at the auction, about 7.2 million pounds, which is a pretty healthy stack of cash to spend. Max, I think they're a loser, but some people think 72 crore in the bank is a win. Where do you stand?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, KL Rahul obviously is like the big name that they're missing, but we'll get to, no doubt we'll get to him later. Arshdeep, I like. good player. Agarwal's all right, and he'll be fine as like an anchor at the top, but they're going to have to recruit so well. With
I
that
think that's
72.
harsh on Agwal. But...
No, I mean, yeah, maybe he's him and KL Rahul is just that really frustrating partnership, isn't it? So if they can get someone a bit more explosive at the top to go along with him, that could actually work pretty well. But again, like for me, losing Bishnoi is just sad, isn't it? Because he's great. That's where they lose, I think, for me.
Not really that much money. Bishnoi and like Shahrukh Khan or something like that. Like the players.
Yeah.
If you think about what you're trying to do here, you've got to fill 11 places 14 times over the IPL. What does that work out at? It's 121, isn't it? If you square 11, so let's say 160 places, and in those 160 places, you need to generate as many wins above average as possible with your squad. Now, Agarwal and Arshdeep do generate wins above average, and they're going to fill up 22 of those spots that you have over the IPL. So you're doing okay with them. I think Ravi Bishnoi adds value. He's a win above average. At 4 crore, he's a good value win above average as well. And I think Shahrukh Khan is no worse than sort of break even. And he might be slightly better. And he's shown flashes. I think you could have got him for not much money as well. Well, they could have because he's uncapped. Maybe they didn't want to. Bishnoi, maybe they just said, I don't want to play for you anymore.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the players themselves get a say in it, don't they? So there is that to think about. But it doesn't make them any less of a loser if they lose the player. Even more so, if the player doesn't want to play for them, what does that say?
Well, Bishnoi took the same money somewhere else. So it's
yeah, and it's that bit again comes down to like the structure of that franchise. Like the structure of Sunrisers, awful. The structure of Kings 11 Punjab Kings, also not very good. Kumble has not put himself in any good position for them. So yeah, disappointing.
Last question on them. Mohammed Shami as the third retention does a job up front with the ball at least.
I don't think it'd be that expensive at the auction if they want to get him back.
Okay. Well, there you go. Max has made a call that Mohammed Shami will be bargain basement.
Well, not bargain basement because he's an Indian. He's an Indian seamer, but I think he's on.
I don't know. I'd have probably gone with the other two that we said. Next on the list, there's a middle of the pack here that I think are kind of around break even. And the list I shared with you, I've actually moved them around a little bit. Rajasthan Royals, Sanju Samson, Joss Butler, and Yashasvi. I think I've got that right again. I always get that name wrong. Jaiswal, the youngster, who actually was all right at the end of last season. I've got them down as the third loser. They spent 28 crore, 9.3 crore per player, 62 crore in the bank. Nice, that's nice. You can go to auction with that. But I have them down as a loser, Ross. Samson and Butler, though, that's something to be positive there, right?
Yeah, I think last time we saw that they could have easily tried to retain like the talent they had from like within their squad for overseas players. Actually, Joss Butler was the pick of those batters. It's interesting that they've gone for they're 1, 2, 3. Like if you look at what their squad is going to be, they've already decided this is what our batting order is going to be at the top of the order. And in T20 cricket, like you want to at least try to retain some kind of talent in the bowling department. But what did they really have? Liam Livingston was an option. Jofra has been injured. Chris Morris has retired. So actually, out of this, I don't think they've done as badly as some of the others who you're about to talk about. And I'm obviously a diehard Rajasthan Royals fan.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have gone to the super fan first because we were going to get a biased opinion.
But again, yeah, it's quite an interesting approach to pick your top 3 batsmen and just be like, we're done with that. We don't need to worry about what's going to.
So the reason I've got them down as a loser overall is that I think if you go back to that wins above average thing, I think Samson offers less than a lot of the other players that have been retained. And I think Jaiswal probably doesn't offer loads.
That's a future pick, though, isn't it, Jaiswal? I mean, he's
we don't. Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot. In 3 years' time, this could sound like the dumbest thing ever when he's opening the batting for India or something. But I would. I know you can't just pick another player from another side here, but I think there are better batters out there in the auction pool that you could have brought in.
Yeah,
He's cheap as shit, though. He is cheap as shit. So
yeah,
let's,
and I also
remember
think Samsung again. We've seen how much value that the IPL franchises place on their captain. Samson is their captain. I thought he did okay last year. Actually,
it's fine. No. I agree. I think I don't necessarily think they've retained the wrong players. I just don't think that they're very good.
Yeah, that's the
That's
problem,
what I'm
isn't
saying.
it? They're hamstrung by what they had in the first place, but of what they had, they've probably made the right call. So.
Yeah. Next on the list. Would you say they were winner or loser? By the way, I think that was the game, wasn't it, Ross?
I don't think they're the third loser. I think the team you're about to say next to the third loser. I think they're probably they're very middling. I think they're.
Oh, so I've moved this around again here.
Oh right.
Oh, I don't know. This is very close. I'll go with what I initially put down. Kolkata Knight Riders I've got as the fourth loser. They retain Andre Russell, Chakravarti, Iyer of the Venkatesh variety, and Sunil Narain. 42 crore spent there, which is a lot of money. 10.5 crore per player, 48 to go to auction. Now, I think they've made the same mistake that they made the last time they did this, which is that they've bought a load of, or they've retained a load of quite sexy looking players when they're fit, and quite good players, let's be honest, when they're fit, but with a lot of injury problems, a lot of age problems, a lot of does he bowl with a straight arm problems. I do really like Chakravarti though, and I think Venkatesh Iyer is a pretty decent snag as well. I think they're good. Max, what do you reckon?
I mean, they've spent nearly half their pot. That's mad, isn't it? That's the big problem. You've got Andre Russell, who's, his creaky knees are always an issue in the IPL. And yeah, like you say, on his day, he's phenomenal. Well, what a player. But I mean, how many of those, like you say, if you're going with 160 slots, you're going to have to cut that in half already for the amount you're going to get out of Andre Russell. So to be chucking that much money on it is bold. Sunil Narain had a bit of a renaissance towards the end of the last IPL, so that's probably got him a nice wedge. If that doesn't go so well, he's in trouble. They're in big trouble. And yeah, Chakravarti's quality player. We saw that by how difficult
Smashed
he was
around
to
the World
score
Cup,
runs.
didn't he?
He
Smashed
did,
around the World Cup and fitness problems as well. But yeah, he's got upside.
In the IPL, it wasn't until the final that he conceded more than 24 runs in a game. So that's a pretty good record. And then Venki Iyer, he's the man about town, isn't he? He's the poster boy for the next generation.
It's interesting though. Could he be another flash in the pan? We talk about you come onto the circuit and you're just like, this guy's brilliant. But it again fills that rare position of being a batting all rounder. And he's bowled
seam up. They spent a lot of money on somebody who has played 7 good games.
Yeah,
8 good games.
Yeah, and what do we normally see? We normally see they come up.
All of them.
Yeah, we normally see them come up and then they dip a little bit and then they get better. But actually here, not so sure. But
look, hopefully they're good. We're speeding through a little bit.
I think they're in trouble.
So we're saying definite losers here. Should they have been below?
I'd say so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Again, if you go back to the idea, you've got 160 spaces to fill over the IPL, and you've got to get as many wins above average as possible. You can spend half your money on 4 players. That isn't a problem. But those players have got to play every game.
They're gonna have to get sponsorship from Deep Heat and an ice company. They're like.
Right, last team in the losers half, and they haven't got a name yet. They're just Ahmedabad. They have picked up, not retained, but picked up Hardik Pandya, Rashid Khan, Shubman Gill. Now they've spent 38 crore on that, so they've got 52 at auction, which is pretty good. Rashid Khan's obviously, amazing, and I think he saves this because they've got 1 need Hardik Pandya and 1 pace Shubman Gill as their other 2 players for quite a lot of money. But Rashid Khan probably does balance that out to a fairly neutral set of players. Agree?
Yeah, well, it's interesting around Hardik, right? Hardik has not been fit enough to bowl.
He could be amazing. Yeah,
then this is it. If Hardik is fit and he can bowl, I generally think that he's going to struggle to bowl as again in his career. I generally think it's that kind of injury. He's been so a really weird one to manage over the last 2 years, and it hasn't really come out the other side. I don't think. If
he bats as well as he did 2 years ago, then if he bats at 75% as well as that, then he is justifiably in the team as a number 6 specialist batter captain. And I think
he'd be better than Morgan, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he's probably worth the money for that. So it's not It's not a complete bust. I don't like Shubman Gill very much. Sorry,
Yeah,
folks,
it's again an interesting one. You're picking someone who is trying to be India's Test match opener as your third pick in here, and it's just so even if like, I saw some of the justification around it, saying that maybe he's a future captaincy pick. It's just like, why are you picking him? Like, it just makes no. Why would you do that? I just don't understand.
Get Managed Pandey for free if you want to captain.
Go Pujara. He's really scored a lot quicker recently in Test.
When you've got options around, I don't know what, even those Rabada's available, Johnny Bairstow's available, David Warner's come back into form, right? Even those guys, when you've got those also in the pack that you could have picked from, I'm kind of wondering what should they have done. Even like Shreyas Iyer is a better option than I think than.
There's a lot of
Shubman Gill's a bust for me, like big time. That's just a waste. That's a wasted pick. Yeah. You don't need to pick him, but I think Hardik is a punt that's well worth taking because look, you're a new franchise, you get a big name, and he's exactly the sort of slot that as an Indian, local player.
If Hardik is fit, he is the second best Indian player.
100% worth taking a punt on, and if it doesn't work,
I think
then let him go next year and sign someone else. But
yeah, if he is fit and he can bowl, I genuinely think after Jadeja, he's the second best player you can pick if you're.
And then Rashid Khan's Rashid Khan. So.
Right, we're going to wrap this segment up because we want to make these into 2 shows and we're running out of time. So goodbye, everyone. Click like and subscribe on YouTube. Otherwise, if you're listening, we'll be back in like 2 seconds after whatever jingle I play.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.